Got a video here, Lance Van. This is not the biggest misconception of God. It's actually a W take, but with some. I can't say it's a W take. I wouldn't be making a video. God is that which no other can or will be. Wow. This is the opposite of LDS. For more quotes like that, does it say this in the Bible? There's no verse here. It's a Lance Van. That's why I'm making this video. God is that which no other can or will be. So if God wanted to exalt someone or something above himself, he couldn't do it. Lance Van's God couldn't do it. Would you be shocked if I told you that my God could? The God that I worship could. That's what makes him so great. That's what humility is. God is that which no other can or will be. What about Matthew 19:26? With God all things are possible. How about this? Got a Bible verse for that? It's Matthew 6:1 comes to mind. Matthew 6:1 comes to, or Romans 6:1. Should we sin that grace may abound? God forbid. I wouldn't define God like this. He has him as a maximized God. He's nigh uncatchable. The one thing God can't do is throw out a leash and exalt someone equal to him and then play apples to apples and lose. That's the one thing God can't do. Actually, in fact, that's the definition of God. Lance Van has a God that's more maximized than he is infinite. It's a very logical religion. But the God and Jesus that he worships, the God and Jesus that he serves, is not as awesome as the God that I love. Do you have a problem with that? Is that a bad thing? Yeah. He's just not Lance Van's God, according to this quote. He's not very creative. He can't make a square circle. He's stuck there. Sure, he wants you to be better than him, but it's never gonna happen. He just can't pull it off. Jeremiah 32:27 just falls through the cracks. Lance Van. The essence of intellectual idolatry is the entertainment of thoughts about God that are unworthy of him. And this quote is one of those quotes. God is that which no other can or will be. It's the exact opposite of the Lorenzo Snow couplet. It's limiting the potential of man. It's limiting the potential of God. Lance Van, he says, just so everyone knows, God is capped. He's maxed out. He can't grow. And you can't grow. It's just a sad. I love what I said here. got a Bible verse for that? Because pretty much everything in the Bible goes against this. The purpose of life, you could argue, is theosis, Christ-likeness. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would call it exaltation. As Latter-day Saints, we have the biggest promise to become like God. It made not a lot of sense to me when I first heard the talk. Makes a lot more sense now. Now that God is humble. The doctrine of exaltation is not the manifestation of Joseph Smith's arrogance. Rather, it is an expression of the humility of God, loving others more than himself. If I were to have spirit children and I were to become the God of gods, the first thing on my mind, the second thing on my mind, where do you think it would be on my mind? Drafting a more pure version of myself. And then he does the same over and over and over and over again. God is that which no other can or will be. Period. He's even got the period in there. You don't need a period when you make a meme like this. And then you have a little sunset in the background. It's quite the capped God. Cap. I'm calling Cap. Cap. It's nice that you have a big God. The problem is he has so much glory that he's not willing to share, that even the potential of his creatures are limited as such, that it is a closed throne because of Lance Van Teen's, listen carefully now, theology. If a holy book or a holy man causes you to limit God, do away with him. The essence of intellectual idolatry is the entertainment of thoughts about God that is unworthy of him. And this quote is exactly that. Now, it's easy to beat someone who doesn't respond, which is most of my debate opponents. They just take it to the face. Ouch! They take a soft loss. I give Aaron Shafwalov credit. He challenged me right away. I prayed. I said, God, pray about that. 3 years later, I accept your challenge. I just had to prepare for it. And now he doesn't want to debate. Worse things have happened. So, now we go to ChatGPT. He might not be the most holy guy on earth, but he is intelligent. He is an artificial intelligence. Points to the unique and incomparable nature of God. It means that God is fundamentally unlike anything else in existence. There's nothing else that can fully be, represent, or do what God is. God's nature, power, presence, and being are totally singular. No one else can or will ever match or replace that. In short, it highlights God's ultimate uniqueness and exclusiveness, divine, beyond competition or competition. What do you think of it? It's trash. TBH. It limits God. The essence of intellectual idolatry is the entertainment of thoughts about God that are unworthy of Him. LDS theology is better this time around. A humble God would open the throne. This quote makes God selfish and arrogant. Whoa. Wow. Whoa. Well, let's try it again. God is that which no other can or will be. Huh. It's probably too deep for AI. I do have a theology of gold intelligence. For example, I can't be like Jesus because he has a perfect past. And Jesus is God. So no one can be exactly like Christ. It's true in that sense. Christ-likeness, I could be... The pink intelligences are the redeemed sinner line. It's in the LDS theology. You could talk to Hannah. And he also shares the title. My biggest sin, perhaps, is I want to be like God. Or I want to be God. I like being number one. I'm a gold medal guy. Interesting. And I know Lance Van Teen knows the Lord really well. His quote has home field advantage, so it's going to end up being true. He's incomparable. God is that which no other can or will be. Points to the unique, incomparable nature of God. Well, I have said in the past that God has glory that he's unable or unwilling to share, but could God find a way to... How much creativity would it take to open up that throne? It means that God is fundamentally unlike anything else in existence. He's outside of everything. There's nothing else that can fully be, represent, or do what God is. God's nature, power, presence, and being are totally singular. No one else can or will ever match or replace it. God's ultimate uniqueness and exclusivity is the divine, beyond comparison or competition. What do you think? Well, that's good. See what I said? It's trash. Okay, I gotta edit the trash out. It's historical Christianity. I was kind of kidding anyway. It's trash. Whoops. What kind of trash are we talking about? I like Lance Van Dien a lot. I am a little bit, it limits God, the essence, okay, others knowledge is better. A humble God might open the throne. It would have to be profitable overall. The throne of thrones, like he's just giving it away and hope to get owned. Okay, well. When I'm number one in the world at Tetris or at a Guitar Hero song or whatever, I'm not number one in the world for bowling, but if I was, I would want someone to beat me. This quote makes God selfish and arrogant. Not quite. Not quite. I wouldn't say that. Not necessarily. It makes him smart. Why would you let the creations become more powerful than the creator? So I'm just going to say smart here. Which Jesus was. Too Augustinian for me. But probably true. And why would I trust myself over Lance? There's always a bigger God out there. What do you think about that quote? Maybe I should pray about this. This is so deep. So this would be God. When I was a kid, I did not want to be God. I remember thinking that. But are we talking about the same guy? I'm not worthy. But to think that God, like, could God create or reorganize and put a baby, like if he could, create a little baby in heaven, and then everything you learn, and then you infinite, and then the baby grows up. I'm not even saying me, like, because I'm a redeemed sinner and all that. But could God create some other being in some other place, and then when you play apples to apples, okay, so top left-hand corner, Hebrews 6:18. I feel kind of sick thinking about this. I think I'm just going to say it's true. There's definitely verses for it. I think I got a little bit sick going against it. I'm a little bit Luciferian inside of me. There's a little Luciferianism as far as wanting to be God. Quasi-Luciferianism, rather. The Christian, I was talking to Elder Richardson about it. He says, no, it's not. That's what it was. He says, no, it's not like that. I was talking to, no, it's not Luciferian. I was talking to, You have to earn the throne by humbling your way there. And that's a good thing. I like being where I am. And even if we're all growing, God's growing. God can outgrow us. God has glory that He's not willing to share. Wow. And there's a reason why. It's non-transferable. In the same way that I can't give someone one of my perfect games, God can't give me one of His. I want to do the best I can, and I want to be worthy to receive all the glory that God has for me, but not the untransferable glory. I've gone for a full circle already. God is that which no other can or will be, nigh uncatchable. And the Lance Vantine actually makes the quote better, but the quote has home field advantage. You're not supposed to straw man. And this quote might be straw man proof. Anyways. It's probably, you could argue, I mean, it's definitely, yeah, it's... God is that which no other can or will be. If that was said from the LDS pulpit, would you believe it? Absolutely. What about Lance Vantine saying it? Well, I believe it. What if I said it? God is that which no other can or will be. It seems, at first here, it's like, well, that's devastating. But I mean, sometimes it is what it is. It's like, I understand there's like, I understand there are women in the world that want to be men. I get that. And I understand there's men in the world that want to be women. But sometimes it's just, in this life, no. Nah. No. I was walking by a TV. It was a show called Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty. I don't know if it's a good, bad, or ugly, what it is. Rick and Morty. I'm not going to click on the videos. I just want to look at the thumbnails here. 7 seasons. It scares me. It reminds me of Family Guy. Look at how scary that is. Welcome to Earthworld. Whoa. full episodes. I have friends that really like this show. I don't know enough about it to bash it. Let's and this is something that ChatGPT. Oh, I'm out of messages. That's right. Let's go to Chrome. So they have a limit on messages now, I guess. That's the idea there. Rick and Morty. What is the show about? And I'm just gonna suspend my beliefs and believe anything that they say. Maybe I should do a Wikipedia. So this is probably 99% chance this is gonna be true. Plus 99 plus. Rick and Morty is an American adult animated science. Here we go, science fiction sitcom. Okay, so I walked by this show, and I've only seen it maybe once or twice, and no more than 5 minutes. It was freaking crazy. There's people coming in and out, and the guy was like, I don't want to be God. I don't want to be God. And he's like, yeah, we'll see about that. And then he goes through a portal and leaves. And I was convicted because I felt like I was the guy in the movie or in the show. And I felt like I was saying that. I don't want to be God. I don't want to be God. Yeah. And then he says, yeah, we'll see about that. And I felt like that was God talking to me. But that's just the life of a schizophrenic. That stuff happens all the time to me. But here's the thing. I have since been more honest with God. And I just tell him, I was like, don't hurt me. Don't hit me. Everything's going to be okay. But here's the honesty. I just want to be honest. Have my heart. Yes, I want to be God. There, I said it. I was talking to a guy at a fantastic burger restaurant. It could be anything. It could be anywhere. Anywhere. He was wondering why it was so cheap. So that really cuts it down, doesn't it? He's making fun of LDS. And he says they think you could become gods, and I said to him, do you want to be God? Do you want to be God? Do you want to be God? And of course he said no. He's Christian. He said yes. But that's just my flesh. Or something like that. He's like, well, yeah. Well, yeah, but what? Interesting. We wake up in this reality. There's all these religions in the world. Huh. You want to be God. I just remember being little. I was walking at Sunset Elementary School, ESS. My dad was working, so I went to after school program called ESS. Play a lot of chess. Play a lot of board games. And I would go outside and I would role play fantasy games that I would make up. My imagination was wild back then. It's still wild, but I think it was even more. I was role playing with kids and Power Rangers. I used to love Power Rangers. Love Power Rangers. Go, go, Power Rangers. Do, 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 do. Go, go, Power Rangers. And there was these kids that were older than me, and they said, and they were trying to invite other people into this collective hallucination because I was like the dungeon master. It was amazing. It was so fun. And we were just making up our own script as we went. And I remember at one point I put these two kids in jail. And they were just sitting there and they were crushed. They actually felt like they were in jail. And they're like looking at me with the puppy eyes. And I walk in, I said, I'm here to bail you out. Here to bail you all out. Which was a line that I took from TV. But I just remember walking through this field and looking up and being maximally satisfied as a child and just being in the palm of God's hand and just really thinking like, I'm not God and that's okay. You know? I was at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And the guy says, what is the purpose of life? The guy says, worship God. Is that the purpose of life? To worship God? I remember what I thought it was. It's not as intense as what I think now, but I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but get to heaven is what I thought. I thought the whole point of Earth was, okay, you come here, and then we get back to heaven. But I didn't say that. I didn't say anything. I didn't raise my hand. But he's puffing everyone down. I remember Elder, one of the elders. I know his name. I'm not going to say it. Purpose of life is do the best you can with what you have. So is that the purpose of life? To do your best? And then finally this guy in the back of the room in the corner. The purpose of life is to reach exaltation. I don't know what that means. I mean, to reach exaltation. And the guy doesn't even say yes. He says, good job reading the back of the manual, Smalls, and good job reading the back of the manual. Like, you saw the lesson plan, but he never said yes or no to anyone. He was using this sarcastic voice, so it's the purpose of life to do your best. But if you look at the words, he's just asking a question. Interesting, huh? So is that the purpose of life? I mean, you could just respond, yeah, it is. The Christian answer is often to know God, to be intimate with Him, and to make Him known. To be a friend of my answer is to be a friend of God, best friend of God. And that's the throne that I want. But I'll tell you this, there is something in me that is different than when I was a little kid. It's different. I've developed a longing, I guess. A little longing to be uh-huh. To be I mean uh, only sometimes. I guess I mean where it's just wrong. If Vincent van Gogh paints something and the painting comes to life, he looks at Van Gogh and says, I want to be like you. What if Van Gogh says, well, I designed you to do that? And it's like, how about you make your own paintings that way? Okay. And then you give him, Van Gogh gives the painting powers to paint. And then he creates a bunch of paintings, but he'll always be in the painting. Is it unnatural and bad that he wants to come out of the painting and be like Van Gogh and converse with him in that reality? If he's being nice. Anyways. Rick and Morty is an American adult animated science fiction sitcom created by Justin Roiland, Cartoon Network's nighttime programming, Block Adult Swim. The series follows the misadventures of Rick Sanchez, a cynical mad scientist, and his good-hearted but fretful grandson, Morty Smith, who split their time between domestic life and interdimensional adventures that take place across an infinite number of realities, often traveling to other planets and dimensions through... What a show. The general concept of Rick and Morty relies on two conflicting scenarios: domestic family drama and a misanthropic grandfather dragging his grandson into hijacks. Critical acclaim for its writing, creativity, and humor. Oh, it's funny. That's good. That's what I like to hear. Writing, originality, creativity, and humor. We got some awards. Most viewed television comedy for adults. Smith household, like that. Alcoholic mad scientist. School, marriage, love, and family. Frequently goes on adventures. Sheesh. Well, is it appropriate? 9 out of 10 rating. Elon Tusk appearing in the show. Wow. This parody, a clear take on Elon Musk and Tesla, seems to have prompted Musk's decision to unfollow the show's accounts. That's hilarious. I like this. Tilting the world's richest man is hilarious. Oh, yeah. Is there a deeper meaning? Really? Just about the meaning of life, how vast the universe is, how pathetic we are in comparison. I love it. I love this show. I mean, I can see why people love it. I love it. God is so big. It's not that I don't want to be God. It's I don't want to put in the work to do it. And by the time I do all, like, I just want to go slow and... Do I want to be president in 2058? Yeah. That's a lot easier than being God. Like, I want all the good stuff that God's going through. I just don't want the bad stuff. And I think that's the thing. That's the quote-unquote glory that God doesn't want to share with us. Is this stress. So, for example, in this life we have positive stress and negative stress. Positive stress, bottom of the ninth, 3-2 count, bases loaded, down by 2. Is that a good situation or a bad situation? Depends who you ask. And it depends what you do to that next pitch. If you hit it a home run, it's a great situation. What if the pitch hasn't come yet? Is that good or bad? I would argue it's a good situation. If you walk, that's great. If you strike out, you could still argue it's good because you're playing baseball and the other team is excited. I mean, your team's kind of disappointed. It's stressful. If you hit a single, you could tie the game. But it's positive stress nonetheless. Having a baby, very stressful. Lots of everything. Emotions, tears, scariness. They literally give you a baby on the way out of the hospital. This baby has to eat or it's going to die. And they go, okay, here it is. Francis Chan was talking about that. It's very stressful. But you have a mom and a dad, hopefully, to take care of it. Hopefully it's not a single mom. And then you start losing sleep. And one of the things that keeps me going is sleep. I can go to sleep and I wake up when I wake up. When you have a baby, you start losing all your sleep. But I'll tell you this. There's also negative stress. Your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. You lose your keys. You miss work. Somebody lets you down. It's like positive stress versus negative. And something that Joseph Smith was talking about that I've never heard any other prophet talk about is God exploring kingdoms and being trembling. And the way I would put it into words for Christians, imagine God having 100,000 horrifying questions for himself at night and immediately putting up a block and saying, I'm going to answer him later, but not right now. And then putting it off for millions of years until he feels like a coward and then answering one at a time. And God is growing infinitely as he answers these horrifying questions. Now imagine Joseph Smith's God exploring kingdoms. They make sense, right? Exploring kingdoms being figurative, answering horrifying questions. Now you can ask yourself a horrifying question. I don't want to ask myself one right now. But if you do get one of those, you can learn a lot about yourself. How much money would I need to get paid to do this? Something that I don't want to do that's uncomfortable. And then some people, they don't care about money. I would never sell my dog for money. But then you say, okay, how much, let's say you got a superpower instead. You lose your dog, but now you're, let's just say, the world's best magician. Or you're the world's best, like you could read minds, you could fly. And then there's just, nope, I would rather have my dog than the ability to read minds, fly, and be a magician. Really? Well, now you really love your dog. Okay, well, let's say your dog goes to a great dog owner, and you can visit him. And, not that these are horrifying questions. A horrifying question for some people, and I've asked them all the time, is like, who do you love more, your wife or your kids? More than half the people, it's horrifying. The same, or they'll say, don't ask me that. They don't want to check their heart. They don't want to compare. It's horrifying to them. God could tell us with a straight face that he loves us all equally because there's proof. We all have oxygen, the same. Matthew 5:45. The sun comes up on the just and the unjust. In that sense, agape, yes, God loves us all the same. But some people on earth have the gift of prophecy and some don't. The Holy Spirit is a special gift given to people who partake in obedience. Acts 5:32. So the Holy Spirit is conditional. Now, people don't like it when I phrase it like this, but sometimes I say, well, God loves the obedient more than the disobedient, which goes against Matthew 5:45 and the principle of unconditional love, which is true. God doesn't love you. God doesn't love me more than that person over there, and God doesn't love him more than me in the agape sense, in the oxygen sense. But what if I have the Holy Spirit and he doesn't? Well, the Holy Spirit is God, and the Holy Spirit goes to those who obey him. So those who have obedience have access to more love, so he loves more. But it's really based on our capacity. If God were to love me with all that he has, I would overdose immediately and I would die. I'm already filled to the brim with love. And I can feel God love. And I've actually heard of stories of Christians who almost have to pray. My dad has done this multiple times. He'll say, okay, Holy Spirit, okay, okay. Okay, okay. I love you too. I'm just trying to sleep here. My dad's awesome. I was like, Dad, have you ever just laid in bed and just thanked God for every breath as it comes in? He's like, absolutely, all the time. Are you serious? I was like, okay, well, I mean, you say it like obviously, but most people don't do that. Really? Really? Positive stress, also known as, see, learn something. Eustress, can be, and my dad taught me about this, positive to negative. And I do this a lot with the scriptures, Matthew 4:7, do not test the Lord your God. In context, he's not talking about all tests. He's talking about, well, why don't you just turn this rock into bread? It's like, well, is that why though? Like, and then the root and the fruit, and it's just horrible all around. And Jesus is like, listen, don't test the Lord your God. But then there are other verses where it's like, yeah, you could test him in ways that make sense. Righteous testing and vows. You do this, I'll do this. Holding God to his promises. Anyways. Like, you can't just say stress is bad, because positive stress, you grow. Honestly, negative stress, you could grow too, but the point is negative stress is a little bit different. Yeah, eustress, motivating and energizing, just like the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, down by 2, 3-2 count. Extremely stressful. Extremely positive. Everyone's benefiting. The crowd's benefiting. We're all benefiting. We waited the whole game for this moment. If you strike out, it's a huge win for them. If you hit a home run, I mean, if he throws a good pitch and you hit a good hit, and it's like, whoa. And everyone's euphoria. Everyone's buying into the rules, and it's this beautiful moment. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. And I understand, like, if you... I mean, you kind of have to... For sports to work, you have to kind of take the... I mean, we're blessed that God lets our minds... There's a dopamine reward for, like, winning in sports. That's a huge blessing. God didn't have to give us that. It's like, why do you care that you win? It's like, well, I'm lucky that we do. I'm lucky that it feels good when you score a basket. If it didn't, we would have stopped playing sports long ago. And that's just one of the many reasons why sports are good. Sports are great. The question is, does God love sportsmanship more than sports? And Jesus, I'm assuming, does. Maybe I'm biased because I have a sportsmanship award. But I've also played sports. But yeah, sportsmanship is like second greatest commandment. I don't think the Bible talks about sports enough to exalt sports over sportsmanship, because the Bible talks about sportsmanship all the time. So yeah, sports, biblically speaking, I mean, it depends on the sport. Maybe if there's a sport that in heaven, maybe there are sports in heaven that are just really something else, and it transcends sportsmanship. I would never want to limit heaven. Limiting God is the worst. Limiting heaven is also really, really, really bad. Limiting heaven is really bad. I have a doctrine called the doctrine of imagination, which says that God will always outrun your imagination. Like, no matter what you imagine, heaven's bigger than that. So I was talking to this girl about heaven, and I manufactured this really weak heaven where I was doing stand-up comedy to, like, huge groups of people, and I was getting these coins. And the money in heaven is nigh uncatchable. And you can literally buy anything that you can imagine or this. But sometimes you think of something that's just so expensive. It's like, oh, I'm going to have to do a lot of comedy to get that. But like you're getting in this heaven that I made, I was getting paid and stuff. It was like, and all I wanted to do was buy people out of hell. And it was like, the bigger the crime, the more it was going to cost. So there was an incentive to release strangers from the shallow levels of hell by just ripping into these comedy shows, making everyone laugh, like, not to name any specific comedian. I love Norm Macdonald. But, and I want to say this other guy's name, but, I'm going to flip. We're flipping, boys. Alright, Dan Cook. He's funny to me. Not to me, but to everyone in the audience. It is what it is. We have videos of this guy ripping into massive stadiums. Everyone laughing. Isn't that the goal? You could say he's not funny, but if you were there, would you have laughed? Dane Cook. I like him because he makes people laugh. You can't judge someone by their worst joke. You can. But that's some Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 1 nonsense. There's more to life than that. 4 months ago. Was I already subscribed or did I just click subscribe? World Series Game 4 9 months ago. No way. 1,700 views. That's the first live streams. Shorts. Okay. The flip was whether or not I say his name. Doesn't mean I have to like him anymore. What is this? Latest. I'm scared. Here we go. We're going to see if he's funny to me. But the question is he making that audience laugh? If you are, then you're doing what you're supposed to do in a language that you... We all have our own comedians and our own sense of humor.
Love in your life, right? Yeah?
Looks like he's doing some crowd work here. Yeah. See, they're already laughing. Yeah. Yeah. You like your... Okay.
Are we going to fight? What the fuck?
Okay, so now he drops the F-bomb. Not really my style. I like clean comics. My Holy Spirit definitely likes cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah, motherfucker, I'm nodding. I'm agreeing with you. Move on.
This is different than what he used to be. This is very recent, looks like.
I thought...
He looks much older. He's grown up physically and all that. I don't know what he's wearing for a shirt here.
Like there was a real synergy, and I just... We're going for beers after? You gonna take everybody for beers? Beers! I would go, but I gotta hit the gym.
That's kind of funny.
I'm gonna play some video games.
Video games. How do I feel about video games? Well, do you think he's going to make a joke out of this? Video games. Well, is chess a video game? Is Tetris a video game? Is Guitar Hero a video game? Well, I guess I like video games, huh? If you're having fun, I have this written in my green book. I forget my own quote. Something about bringing the Lord to your entertainment. Oh, entertainment is of the Lord. Bring the Lord to your entertainment, and that's something in the Bible. I think it's Colossians something. But I did have a dream. I did have a dream that I was playing League of Legends, which is a game I played way too many games. I was addicted, pretty much. I just liked it. I don't know. I liked it more than I didn't like it. The good made up for the bad, whatever you want to call it. I played it thousands of games. People made fun of me for not being in the top 2% of the world because I played it a lot. And I have this dream, I'm playing the game, and I'm having fun again. So I said, I don't regret any of those hours. So then I make a video, got a dream, video games are not a sin because I had this dream. And it was just this blanket statement for an hour and a half talking about my testimony of video games not being a sin. Then the next night or the 2 nights later, I get a dream. Tim Conway, who is this old guy I used to follow, arguably my second, third, fourth, fifth favorite, kind of just darker Green Angel type, just guy. God doesn't just hate the sin, he hates the sinner, and but he ends up being a Calvinist. But then he started praying and giving talks against Calvinism, which I like that. Because hyper-Calvinism is the worst. It stunts evangelism and stuff. But Calvinism, you have to implement free will somewhere. Otherwise, it's very not a good one there. But he comes in my dream and he says, hey, there's these wicked video games. We're not about that life. So my hour and a half video was just trash at that point after that dream. So I took it down, made a new video, 6 minutes. Hey, I don't know about how wicked the games are, but there's some wicked video games. Like Grand Theft Auto, you're doing a lot of bad stuff in a world that looks like this. That's bad. Guess what? There's worse games than that. You start a cult, you sacrifice stuff to the devil and all that. I've heard about video games like, oh, it's just a video game. Well, no. It's just a TV show. You don't just lay around the house and watch horror movies, do you? I would hope not. You are what you consume. I have a testimony that when I lay on the couch and watch General Conference, even just for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I feel great. I feel like them. Now, am I more suggestible than other people? 10 times, yes. 20 times. 100 times. There's something about me, I see it, I believe it, I latch onto it. Similar to a child, I have a lot of that. So for me, I got to be extra careful if I sign up for a horror movie. If I do it prayerfully, I'll be fine. If I don't pray, it could be really bad. It could trigger something if I'm on my meds. If I'm not on my meds, different things will happen. I mean, I went to a movie, it was rated R, but it wasn't that bad. And I thought the LDS Church made the movie for me. And then there's all this swearing in the movie. And then my left brain is like, bro, the odds went from 1 in 2 to 1 in 40,000. My left brain was saying that. It's like, if the LDS Church made this movie for me, there wouldn't be a bunch of swearing, I don't think so. That's just what I thought. But then I was like, well, maybe it's just God talking to me. Well, that makes actually a lot more sense. So then I watched the movie and I interacted with the movie in parables. It was a great time. It was a great time. And I didn't tell them, my dad and my brother, they just walked out like, whoa. Because it was kind of a trippy movie anyway, but like, imagine watching, I mean, Alice in Wonderland is probably the craziest example. I did watch Alice in Wonderland. You know, I don't do drugs, but I can trip out a little bit. I went on a trip. And that movie is a trip. That's the whole point of the movie. It's supposed to be cosmic. It's like, you can ask ChatGPT about that movie. But I just wanted to say, God told me that some video games are just straight up a sin. Diablo 2, Diablo 3, I've played those games. Diablo literally means devil. But the whole point is you go throughout this world, your guy ranks up in levels, you pick up weapons, and you kill the devil. It's really not that bad. It's like, yeah, there's blood and gore, but it's like, you're just running around killing bad guys. I mean, it's like, okay. I mean, this girl, she wouldn't sell me the game. And I didn't care the difference between Monopoly, Red Alert 2, and Diablo 2. I didn't really care. They all look fun to me. But the girl was just like, looks at my grandpa, I cannot sell you this. She was, her conscience. I was too little. I must have been 10 or 9. And I was just like, I really don't care. To me, they were just video games. And Red Alert 2 looked dope. It was like Command and Conquer. It was like, it was a, what's it called? Not R, something PC. So Diablo is an RPG. This one is a, why can't I think of it? Hold on a second. I forget what it's called. I forget. And then Monopoly Party or whatever that other game was just a virtual board game. Rated E for everyone. It's like, I don't know, I'm hanging out with my grandparents and I'm going to play a computer game and we have a $50 budget. You know, we're going to buy a video game and it's like, okay. I was like, we ended up getting Red Alert. It was rated teen. And my grandpa, I remember my grandpa comes in. He's like, all right, let's see this game. And I was building things and there was money and I just remember he was like, so that's just whoever gets the most money wins? And I just wanted to tell him, like, well, no, you can come down here and kill people. But I didn't tell him that. I was just like, I mean, he ended up saying, well, that's not that bad. Like, he gets up and leaves, and it's like, well. But then there's the whole idolatry thing. I remember in high school I said, you know, I've thought about Guitar Hero every single day. I didn't own the game yet. But I was saving up money to buy an Xbox to play Guitar Hero. It was way more fun than Orchestra. It was like a plastic guitar. But I have a testimony that video games is a sin. The bad video games are a sin because of the dream. But righteous video games are only really a sin if you don't go there with the Lord or if you idolize it, micro-idolize it. Technically, all micro-idolization is a sin, but it's not, I mean, you know, if you're, you know. My stepsister, she got mad at me when I woke up an hour early to play video games. She's like, what are you doing? Like, we have school in an hour. Like, what? Just wake up, And then she was mad at me because I was too good at the game. She got mad at me for that. Well, sorry. Because I wasn't looking at the screen, and I really wanted to memorize the whole song. And I did. And she got mad at me for that. She's like, no way. Like, don't do that. Don't do it. Well, I did it. But Dane Cook, I did end up... I played a lot of Tetris Attack. I thought I could be the best in the world at Mario Brothers 3, which is why I beat the game in 20 minutes, then 18 minutes, then 16 minutes, then 14 minutes, then 13 minutes, then 12:30. I beat the entire game in 12 minutes and 30 seconds because there's 2 flutes. And only to find out the world record's 11:01. I thought the record... Honestly, I thought there was a TAS at 11:01, and the world record was like... I didn't know what the world record was. I thought I was the world record. And then I find out, oh, then a human ends up getting like a 10:43 because they found another time save. And there's only like a quarter second left that you can even get. And then I was like, well, I'm never playing this game again. I just wasted all that time. I thought I was going to be the best in the world at Mario Brothers 3. But it was fun. The journey was fun because I thought I was going to be the best. And I thought I was the best at some point. And I was like, okay. I was just copying the bot's line, and the bot was like running through the map at full speed. And it was fun beating the game over and over again. But like, if that's what you're doing and you're having fun, video games, it's like... My dad walked in one day, because I was trying to get the Tetris Attack world record too. I ended up getting a sub 4. I mean, you'd have to be extremely good at the game to get a sub 10, and I got a sub 4. But the world record was 3:10, and the fastest you could possibly get is 2:30. And it's a lot of luck and stuff. It's like, but I somehow get a sub 4. But my dad was walking in, he's like, what are we doing with our life? Like, yeah, you got the world record. It's like, or like going for the world record. And I was like, he's thinking, you're better than this as a person and as a, I think, right? And he's thinking, are you better than this? And he's like, and he's thinking, what is my job as a parent? Isn't it just to raise the kids and then, but like my dad's life is really good. It's like, do I tell him to stop playing? And then it's like, he's working towards something. And I'm over here and I'm just, I don't know. It's like, well, yeah, why not? I don't know. It's like I keep getting better and, right? I didn't see anything wrong with it. I was just casually, just naturally chasing a world record. I don't know. It was a fun game. And it's not something that I'm like, anyways. Let's keep going. Dane Cook.
Jim?
What's that?
Are you going to play with Jim?
Just give me
So now the crowd's trying to be funny.
a second. He thought that was funny. You know what?
He thought that was funny. Wow. Well, nobody laughed, so...
I want him to feel it, how he bombed.
How he bombed.
Just
Okay.
bombed with that.
Okay.
He's sitting there with his friends.
He's... Okay.
We're looking at him. Why would you yell that out? Let's let him sit in it for a second. I got it. Thanks. You got love.
Yeah, it's not really my style of comedy. I mean, some people were laughing. Let's go to this one here.
I've always wanted to be.
It's not a lot of depth. Dane Cook, but
There's a lot of what on
I would say he's objectively well.
the internet though. There's a lot of.
I'm telling you, you got to watch his old stuff. But I just want
There's
to
a lot
let's
of-
just do this one, then we'll go to the old.
There's
one,
a lot.
right? Dane Cook, old stuff. I'm telling you, there's one where everyone was laughing and stuff. Dane Cook Monopoly. This is going to be the last one with him.
Monopoly. Everybody had Monopoly.
Yeah, so I made a Monopoly mod. Complexopoly, Polyopoly. I forget all the rules. I forget all the names we had. What was the Turboopoly? That's what it was. If you run out of money in your hand, you immediately lose the game. You can't mortgage or sell properties. So when you buy a house, you're risking your life. And the game lasts between 5 minutes and 2 hours. And there's also technology. If either player lands on an electric company, it changes all the rules of the game, and the game gets faster. There's banks, stocks, bonds, real estate, and free parking. There's a macro poker game. Tons of rule changes, different dice options. And it is technically a calculation, but there's a lot of skill in the game. The regular game Monopoly, there's no skill, so there's not enough skill in the game. And you kind of need hidden information for it to be a game too. So I've played many variations with my friend Kyle, who's also an introvert, and we would stay and we'd play for hours. We played multiple games, and it was always fun creating new rules and stuff. And that's what I want to do as president, is have a bunch of rules, policy changes, dynamic things that will help people. I don't want to piss off all the rich people. I don't think that's going to help anyone anywhere. But I do want to convince the poor people that we're helping them, giving them some cash, giving them some UBI, save the babies in the womb, save some babies. I want to be more pro-life than the guy before me and all that stuff. And just make God smile, at least in America. Now, some of the other countries, I'm going to have more foreign aid than everyone else as well. We're going to give it to Uganda and Pakistan and Africa. They've been praying for me. I don't want 2032. I want 2058. I'll be 66. And I think I have... Anyways. Lord willing. But we got Dane Cook Monopoly here. I have no problem with throwing Monopoly under the bus. It's an extremely long, boring, dull game with no skill. Bobby Fischer couldn't stand it because there wasn't enough skill. Then I think chess is too much skill. It's so much skill that the person who loses feels like they're not as smart as the other person, whereas games with cards, it's just like no one ever knows who's the best. It was, oh, you got lucky. It's like poker. Oh, you got lucky again and again and again and again. Monopoly, it's like, well, there's some skill in the Monopoly tournaments because it's a 64-man tournament, and it's a one-on-one. And heads up Monopoly, I would say there's like no skill. Because game theory, you would never trade a property if you're playing heads up. You'd never trade. So it's just you roll stuff. You try not to... You try not to... you buy properties and you try not to sell them. Right? But once you go to 3 players, there's some skill. 4 players, there's definitely some skill because you have to... The negotiation is huge. If you got 2 oranges and you got a red, and then your other guy has 2 reds and an orange, it would benefit both of you to trade. But you know that he needs it, so you can ask for cash on top. Well, he can ask you for the cash on top. And if you guys, now you have to almost induce, you have to give, it's like, whoa. It's like, whoa, we both want this. And also, if you have Boardwalk, Park Place, whatever. Anyways, 4 players is interesting because negotiation is really interesting. How it's not just an automatic. Negotiation is something even AI hasn't really figured out completely. Maybe it has by now, but it's like it's a tough one. That is interesting. The game theory of negotiation and the fact that it's profitable to rip yourself off, and game theory demands that you trade. But game theory doesn't really understand how to win in negotiation every time, because the person you're negotiating with, it depends on his understanding of negotiation and his understanding of the game. It's like, okay, it's like if we don't trade, we're both going to lose, so we have to trade. And they both know that, but then it's just, it becomes like a greed element. It's like, well, we have to trade, that's fine, but I'll only do it if you throw in $50. And the guy's like, well, you should be throwing in $50. You're the one getting the red. It's like, yeah, I know, but I know you need it. And it's like, whoa. And then you're almost like pissed off. So it's like, well, now I'm not going to trade. Well, now we'll just both lose. And the guy says, okay, fine, let's just trade, no money. And the guy goes, no, now you're giving me $50. Whoa. See, that whole element would never happen heads up Monopoly. One-on-one on one-on-one, yes, that happens. And it's almost like you have to have a relationship with your opponent. But basically, the winner of the game, it goes to 16. And now there's four games of one-on-one and one-on-one. The 4 winners go to the finals. So if you win 3 games in a row, you're the Monopoly champion. You get a computer and like 2K cash or something. But I will admit there is some skill in 4-man Monopoly, and they do play on a timer, but it's really not that much skill. My game, there's more skill, but it's very chaotic and insane, and it's like every property there's a pun. A punopoly, that's what we called it, punopoly. We had dozens and dozens. We had close to, I mean, there's 40 properties. We probably had 38 puns just from the properties alone. Then there was puns on puns on puns. Punopoly. I forgot the pun, and pun is a pun on mon. But we'll see here, Dan Cook.
Everybody had it. Nobody liked it.
Nobody liked it.
Everybody
I mean, it is slow.
owned it. No.
I wouldn't say nobody liked it. I liked it because I was winning a lot. I could literally buy people's properties. People that I played with were trading me. I could give them all my cash. I remember told my little brother, I was at Grandma's house. I still smell it. There's a nice little carpet in there. And I whip out the Monopoly. And I said, all right, how about this? You get all the money and I get all the properties. And we'll just play like that. And he's smiling. He says, okay. And he just rolls around the board, landing on all my properties. It's pretty fun. Eventually I won. And he was like, wow. I started with all the money and I lost. You know? He just didn't get it. That was fun. For me. It's probably fun for him too. My little brother used to look up to me. And I used to call him a Dumbo. I remember that. I used to call him a Dumbo. There was this movie called Dumbo, which was basically, I think it was an elephant. It was an animated show, and I called him Dumbo. You're such a Dumbo. Such a Dumbo, because he was little. And my dad didn't care at all. You're such a Dumbo. You're such a Dumbo. I must have called him hundreds of times. All of a sudden, one day, we're at Safeway. We're in the middle of the line, and they were selling a VHS called Dumbo. And they were selling the movie. And I'm over here with my little brother, and I'm in front of the line. And my dad was inspired. My dad does not remember saying this or doing this, but my dad he kind of remembered hearing me saying Dumbo a lot. But my dad didn't even know that I was calling Justin a Dumbo, and Justin was just like, oh, okay. But my dad says, hey, Eric, are you a... And he points to the movie, Dumbo. And my dad didn't call me a Dumbo. But he just said, "Are you a?" And then he pointed to the movie. And I felt like my dad called me a Dumbo, which was like, whoa, uncalled for. Like crazy. What'd you just call me? Which was pretty hypocritical because I just called my brother a Dumbo hundreds of times. But getting called it once, I never said the word ever again. Except right now, obviously. But I never called my brother a Dumbo ever again. I was just like, whoa, that one's dead. It was kind of like how Chris Paul did the shimmy to Steph Curry. Stephen Curry, I don't think he's ever done a shimmy since. Maybe he has, I don't know. But I was done calling my brother a Dumbo. I was so convicted. I was like, whoa. And so that's how, and my brother probably didn't feel, maybe he did. Maybe my brother felt like, but it was, maybe my brother, it was like these little paper cuts. But with my dad pointing, "Are you a Dumbo?" It was just like, me? I'm a Dumbo? Because I got 18 months on my brother. I'm 18 months older. So I've always been smarter and bigger. Well, I was bigger and stronger until, I would say, when he hit puberty, he was immediately stronger than me. Like, we both hit puberty, but then somehow he just got muscles. I have length. I have more length. I'm taller, but he's like Team Jacob, and I'm more Team Edward, if you want to think about it like that. He's like little and like ripped, and I'm tall and like, whatever. So in a boxing match, I would have the reach advantage, and he would have, I guess he would have, I don't know. In MMA, I actually think the short guy has an advantage, which is kind of a hot take, but there's wrestling, and you could stack in at way more muscles if you're shorter. Because the way the weight classes work, if you're super tall and you try to get really strong, well, now you're too heavy and you can't even fight. I mean, obviously, you'd rather be tall if there was no weight limit. But the fact that there's a weight class, well, let me be 5'2". That way I don't weigh anything, and then I'll stack on a bunch of weight. Now I'm quote unquote 155 pounds, but I'm like hulked up. And the other guy has a reach advantage. Whatever, I'll just tackle him and wrestle him and have all the muscles. But generally, sports are pretty absurdly favored towards the tall person.
Nobody liked that game. And it's simple why. This is it. Because this is anybody here 2.5 hours into a game of Monopoly. Here it is. Ready? I quit!
Yeah, that's true. It's relatable. But I'm pretty much always the one winning. So it's always the loser who does that. And I always played with players that would allow themselves to be ripped off. But even if I play against people that are quote unquote better than me, it's still a coin flip who wins. And Monopoly is really only frustrating if you're losing. Otherwise, it's just this zen. It's kind of fun. I remember playing with my half-sister and my brother a lot. It was kind of an intimate. You collect the properties. There's a dopamine hit as you get those properties, add them to your stash. You feel like you're doing something. But if you're once you get smarter, you start seeing the game for what it is, which is a skillless game. But if you're a really little kid, it takes a lot of memory. It takes a lot of your mind to embrace just the simple rules. Board games are supposed to be for kids. BORED. Board games. You're bored. But now with the smartphones and all that, I think board games are pretty much dead. But so I like the delivery here. People clapping is generally a silver medal in comedy. It's a lot better than nothing. I mean, people aren't going to clap if they don't like it. But they're clapping like, yeah, this is a well-executed joke. That's what I would say as well.
I'm sitting on Baltic with crap! Don't touch me, Grandpa. She's cheating. I hate when you're the banker, Grandma. Where did you get the pink 50s? Do not touch me!
I was always the banker. Shout out to the top left-hand corner, Matthew 7:29. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Have you ever heard that? The whole point of the quote is emphasizing the way you speak. So I got to work on that too, because it's like it says that Jesus spoke with someone with authority and not like the scribes. That's what it says. It's a pretty intense. It's one of the biggest compliments I've ever had. I went to the Bible study, and my friend Joel told me that when I spoke, it was not with he didn't say authority. He said boldness, and that's what he said. He said boldness, but I heard it as authority, because it was like in Bible study. So I'm a beta male, but I can become an alpha male if something's important. I posted on Facebook yesterday, I believe. What did I say? Let me think for a second. Oh, if you're constantly yelling at your kids for stupid things, they're not going to know what's important when you yell at them for an important thing. It wasn't those exact words, but the idea was save your yells for when it's yell worthy. And then the kid's going to say, wow, Dad never yells at me. The one time he yelled at me is when I had a girl over. So I'm never going to have a girl over ever again, because he'll yell at me and I don't get yelled at. Now, if you're yelling at him twice a day for 2 years, and then he has a girl over and you try to yell a little bit louder, maybe he'll recognize, okay, it was a little bit louder, but it's Dad. He always yells at me. But it's like, if you're losing all your yells, then that's the thing. It's like, just I talk about idolatry a lot and micro-idolatry a lot. God for sure wants to be number one in your life, but he also wants to be number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and number 5 and number 6. And he wants big gaps. And for me specifically, I feel he wants me to exalt the Bible over humans. Even though you could say, well, it's a book, but here's the thing. There's the first and greatest commandment is greater than the second greatest commandment. There you go. And I feel like the Bible is the Word of God, and the first and greatest commandment is in there. And if you fall in love, let's say with your dad or your brother, family, and you don't read the Bible for a few months, sure, I have a lot of scripture mastery, but there are a lot of religious people who can outread me. They just read the Bible a lot, or they read, maybe not a lot, but they'll read it before bed, and they'll do a Bible in a year challenge. I don't tell this to people very often, but there are entire books in the Old Testament I haven't even read. They are virgin books. 1 Samuel. The book of Numbers, I read it a little bit, but it's more than one book. It's lots of books in there. New Testament, yes, I read New Testament. I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John a lot. Now, I do memorize some of the best verses that pop up in the Old Testament, and if I hear someone quote the Old Testament, okay, I'll memorize it. A lot of Proverbs memorized. But it's just for my thing with the New Testament is read it, Old Testament, wait for someone to quote it, memorize the best that the Old Testament has to offer. But if you take your eyes off the Bible and the scriptures and you start gazing at man, that could be dangerous. The Bible will lead you to Christ and the Holy Spirit and stuff. And I know the Bible could be an idol. Theologians often love the Bible more than God. They just don't want to admit it. Well, in that case, God wants you to get more prayer and less Bible. But as a general rule, God, then God, then religion, all that religion has, which includes the scriptures, and the vessels, I guess. Vessels to God, and then people. But I have no problem with people loving God than people than religion. I have no problem with that at all. In fact, it might be better. But I just know for me, it could lead to other things. You start idolizing people. You know, you got a theology where, you know, it's just, it could get scary there. So keep it. Just stay introverted with the Lord. Farm up. Pray. Okay, here's another thing. 14 years ago, 2011. So does humor change over 14 years? Yeah, it does. But sometimes it could get better. Doesn't always get worse, right? Sometimes videos, they age really well. You know? And I haven't seen this video. We got another...
Paying luxury tax out the ass. She's stealing pink 50s? No. No.
Why? How can a grandma steal money in Monopoly? Stealing pink 50s. They're not pink 50s. They're pink 5s. You don't even play Monopoly. It's the 50s are purple. So, yeah, 50s in Monopoly. He said pink 50s. Does he have a version where it's pink? 50s in Monopoly. Oh, they're green. We're both wrong. Pink 50s. What's the purple one? 10? No, I thought 20s. Okay, well, maybe that's an old version. Okay. What did I... Now it's blue? Well, it's still not pink, is the point. Okay, it's blue. It's blue. My version was blue. Wow. I said purple. I was so sure it was purple, too. Pink 5. Yep, the pink 5. Okay, it's blue. Well, Matthew 5:22, if you call someone an idiot, you're in danger of hellfire. We're both idiots. Stealing pink 50s. Now, it's like, okay.
We were poor, man. We were so poor growing up, I actually had to use that little iron.
Mm-hmm. That's funny to me. Oh, you got it. That's hilarious. I was not expecting that from him. We were so poor we had to use that little iron. Wow, that's cute. That's just cute. Oh, that's funny.
Ouch.
See, he even has a little cute smile on that one. That is strong. We were so poor we had to use that little iron. I could see him just opening up Monopoly and said, let's try to think of some jokes with these pieces. And that joke came in. That was from... Every good and perfect joke comes from God. And it's like... I understand, like, if you don't like Dane Cook, it's like... You don't like him. But that's a good joke. That's a clean... We were so poor... You know?
That little dog, too. Remember the little dog? He was like that big.
Uh-oh.
But he was sharp. His little leg.
I do like the little dog.
So
I was always the car. Pretty much every... and then I like to be the money bags. It just goes to show I used to micro-idolize money. Not what money buys, the money itself. I used to have a little avarice demon. But I cast him out. Nah. I don't like it. First Timothy 6:10, love of money. Matthew 6:24, man cannot serve two masters.
you could kill somebody with that dog.
Kill someone with that dog. I don't know about this.
Just snap during the game. Ah!
Yeah, that's not as funny as the other one. The good delivery though. I like the delivery. I mean, he's like really into it. He's like, you get the little dog and then you can kill someone with it. You don't expect that, you know?
2, 3. You know why I didn't like it too? Because I had a big family and everybody got a piece. You know, like the thimble, the dog, the car. I didn't even have a piece. I had to like remember where I was.
Really? There's a bunch of leftover pieces. No, this is not. There's no way.
Then I ran. I got the knife from Clue.
See, oh, okay, that is relatable. Sometimes you have to go to other games.
Yeah.
And people are laughing, so that's good.
I got the Clue knife. I would love to really kill somebody with that knife.
Oh, see, that's not funny. That's not funny. I'd really love to kill someone with that knife. Really. It's like, I mean, I guess it's like, it's so little. Is that the joke? I'd really love to kill someone with that knife. No, I don't like that. Really? Really?
That'd be great. It'd be so easy to hide. Take forever, though. You'd be like, I kill you. What are you doing? Put it in a little envelope, hide it. Even if they found it, they'd be like, we found the bloody. I'd be like, but what room did I kill?
Yeah, I saw it coming, unfortunately. If I didn't see that one coming, I instantly got it. I mean, well, the spirit of the video is in the comments. Let's see if the top people liked it. He's laughing. This is a good comment. I mentioned this earlier. 14 years ago is the context. It was like an extroverted. This is the special that made Dane famous. Wow. Here's a heart one. Dane is a good guy. He's funny, gets a lot of hate, but he was elected for an audience. Yeah, I mean, maybe if you could feel the energy while you're in there, it might be better than like his delivery is what made him famous. A++. I love Monopoly. If you're with the right people, it could be a great game because it's like worst case scenario, you spend 4 hours with the people that you love. I love Monopoly. Oh, he liked the knife one. I don't know what to put. I don't know. Whoa. Huh. This guy, 56.6K dial-up, 2-minute audio. Crack the hell up. 2 years ago, my family got rid of some games. We kept Monopoly, and we still don't play it. Yeah, it's a hard game to throw away. Cool story about Monopoly. The guy who created it, the game broke all the rules of board games. There was no time limit. There was no... And everyone's like, no, your game is horrible. Over and over and over again. And then... I just realized something. But anyways, he requested it like 16 times. It reminds me of Luke 18, 1-8. If you guys want to look that one up. And eventually they said, fine, we'll take your game. And then it became popular after all that. Yeah, my version, Turboopoly, it can go on forever, but very rarely. We actually have a Harry Potter feature if you go to Reading Railroad, which we call Reading, and there's different books you could read. And you could take a Harry Potter to platform 9 3/4, which releases the snitch. And then you get a broomstick, and then if you catch the snitch, you automatically win the game. So it helps bring the game to a closure, especially if people are playing defensively with the oil. Because you can get oil at the... where do you pick up the oil? You pick up the oil... Oh, every time you pass go, you get an oil token. And that gives you gas, which can manipulate the dice, which could keep you away from your opponent's hotels. And then you could invest the oil to get more oil. And the platform 9 3/4 with the snitch, it was stopping us because we were both so smart. And sometimes if you could actually change the rules in the middle of the game, but both players have to agree. Otherwise, because sometimes a rule change favors one guy more than the other, then you have to wait till next game. But my version of Monopoly is just the nuts, but you have to be so smart to even play it. But I think it'd be funny to bring it out with my kids, my little kids, if I ever have kids. And then you just say, yeah, there's the game. What are you talking about? And then they go to someone. And my friend has already gone to someone else's house and played Monopoly. And he goes, can we at least have one? Like, Kentucky Derby is fantastic. New York Pizza on New York. Tennessee. Are you from Tennessee? You're the only 10 I see. And you pick up a girlfriend. St. James is, yeah, you get a church. Virginia. You can have sex with your girlfriend. She's a virgin. You get married in the churches. You get babies. Babies are asymmetric net positives. St. Charles Place is another church. St. James, St. Charles. Those are what the churches are. Connecticut. Connecticut. And then Vermont is vomit. Oriental, I forget. Oh, yeah, Oriental Sea. Baltic is Baltic Sea. So there was a couple seas for oceans. You get ocean tokens. You could buy ships. Mediterranean Sea. That was another ship. That was another sea. So those are ocean tokens. And then Boardwalk. What's Boardwalk? Nothing for Boardwalk. No pun for Boardwalk, I don't think. I mean, it's the strongest property. Park Place. Nothing there either. Let's just go around the board. The Greens, Pacific was an ocean. Pacific Ocean. North Carolina was North Carolina. And then Pennsylvania. I don't know what Pennsylvania was. I think it was just an ocean. Marvin Gardens, you could get plant seeds. You get seeds, you could plant things, then it grows. Marvin Gardens was huge. And then next to Marvin Gardens, there's Atlantic, which was also another ocean. Atlantic Ocean for sea tokens. And then the vendor, Ventnor, we made a pun on vendor. So now there's a vendor and you could buy a special shop. Everything's on sale and you could buy things. Just go to the Reds. In my head. Kentucky Derby, which you could gamble, plus EV gambling, especially if you're losing, but you can get 10 to 1 on a 5 to 1 shot, or you can get even odds at any amount. So if you want to double up your stack, you can go to Kentucky Derby, bet on a horse. And I think you could do, anyways, that's a great way to gamble. And like next to that, Kentucky Derby, Indiana Jones. There was, I think, 4 puns for Indiana. Indiana Jones, and then we had Dow Jones. Yeah, so then we had a pun on Jones. So it's Indiana Jones, Alex Jones, Dow Jones, John Jones. John Jones is MMA. Okay, then Illinois. Illinois created the zombies, apocalypses, and you have also diseases, which can like wipe out stuff. Illinois, so there's a pun there. And then, there was regional banks. And then we had presidents as well. New York Pizza, New York Stock Exchange. And then we had, lots of New York stuff. Trump, you can vote for politicians every 2 years. Then you can elect leaders which have different effects. I remember there was Andrew Yang, $1,000 a month when you pass go, and then there was Trump, and then there was Clinton, and you could vote for different people. You could elect them, and then the cards, there was railroad tracks. Anyways, Monopoly would be quicker if more people took stupid risks. He is so good. Wow. Pink 50s. So this guy doesn't care about the truth. They were pink 5s. Aw. It's like, it's kind of like when people try food, like vegetables especially, but like sushi or just these really exotic foods, or there's just certain meats or certain, and they really love it, and then I smell it, it smells gross, and then I taste it, it tastes gross. I don't get mad at them for enjoying that food. I'm happy for them. Like, I think people that are picky eaters, I hate it when they're like, ugh, you like that? That's disgusting. No, I'm just like, man, lucky. I wish I liked vegetables. You know? Oh, lucky. This, having green beans on your pizza tastes good to you. Lucky. 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 Wow, this guy really loved it. Oh. Oh, here's a great comment. It's going to get a love here. It's sad that history has rewritten Dane's career as he was never funny. He just knew how to use MySpace and appeal to teenage girls. Crazy. Dane was a force in the early and mid 2000s. I agree. I was never into him. I never laughed at him. I just remember looking at him. But I think it was Family Guy that ripped into him and made fun of his comedy. And then he started bombing every once in a while. But his highest highs were the highest as you could get. I mean, there was people, like, they're laughing so much. I'd have to pull up a video. I've seen it before. They're laughing. Everyone in the building just crying, and just matching his energy. I could feel a little bit right now. I just feel so happy for them. And I remember I was laughing a little bit too. I can imagine if I was in that room, maybe just pick up on the energy and laugh. You know? Dane was a force in the early mid-2000s. In my opinion, if he'd kept this manic, self-deprecating type of humor, he'd have a great career. Interesting. He used to be really funny. I laughed as many times in this 2-minute excerpt as I did in his entire Vicious Circle special. Yeah, sometimes, like, comedians, they maybe change their style and they want to try something else. They might be an A- comedian with one style and a D- on something else. But they want to express themselves differently, and people show up for the A- and they get the D-. And maybe the D- would have been a B+ with a different crowd. But the A- people, they're coming for this certain thing, and then they get something else. Perhaps. Who plays Monopoly at 1:30 in the morning? No, the point was we started the game at 10, or we started the game at 9 p.m. and now it's 1:30. I love the clue joke. Wow. Oh, I thought it was the 500s that were pink. $500s were orange. See, we're all colorblind. I really love oranges. So I'm going to get the emoji there. Juliana KU, yeah. I think these people are going to be notified with the like, hey, somebody liked your comment. Aw. Just realize how bad Dane Cook really was. PWBA. Professional Women's Bowling Association? Well, if you don't like it, I mean... Yes, he is annoying. Just realized it? Yeah, well. You say he's bad, that other people like him. And it's like, do you have to put that? Let's cuss this person out for the negativity. How dare you? I don't like it when people say, I'd like to see you do better. It's kind of like if I mean, there's lots of it's like, I don't know, if I pay a bunch of money for a professional cook and it's the worst professional cook in the world, maybe not in the world, but that's it's significantly worse. And then the cook looks at me, I like to see you cook better. It's like, well, I'm not a cook, you know? So I'm not going to tell this PBA bowler, I don't like when people say, I'd like to see you do better. I mean, the first time it was ever said, it was savage. But it's like a very common thing that people say all the time. Like the first time someone's ever said it, if no one's ever heard it, that's interesting. I'd like to see you do better. But once you hear it the second time, it's like, wait, I think we could heckle hecklers a little bit better than that. So let's try to heckle this heckler. Just realize how bad Dane Cook really was. How about this? Imagine seeing a painting and it's glorious. 5 years later, you realize how bad the painting really was. Is it a bad painting? I'm kind of philosophizing it a little bit here, but comedy is an art form. And you can grow up, which changes the art. But again, this was 14 years ago, and you were 14 years younger. I just realized how bad that comedy was 14 years ago, now that I'm a completely different person. The answer is no, it's not a bad painting. And he's in the right place at the right time. Ecclesiastes 3, time and place for everything. And a bad joke is a good joke if you have a bad crowd. A good joke can bomb if it's a bad crowd. Like, my sense of, if I'm trying to make, I should be trying to make God laugh. That should be my goal. But if I'm trying to make people laugh, I have to know them a little bit because people are so different. And there are some jokes that work on 90% of the population, and there are some jokes that work on 30%. But if you know the people are righteous and you know that they know the Bible, well, now it's going to work 95%. Because the Bible or the audience has to have a certain level. Like, for example, I'll give you this example. This is a really good example. Family Guy. You could say it's a good show, a bad show, or an ugly show. You can make a case for all three. But I was watching this show with my stepsister, Nicole. And I think we're one-on-one, or both of us. And we're watching the Family Guy. We were laughing at some of the jokes. Then they come up, this next scene, super advanced, political, wild, and just the punchline was just, and it was just so over our heads. They were mentioning people that we've never heard of, and we're probably too young to even be watching this, maybe 13 or something, 12, I don't know. So whatever the high school is, 14, 13. And they whip out this joke that only a 25-year-old could possibly know, and we thought it was amazing. But we just, I mean, the setup, the punch, and this, but of course we didn't get it. And we just smiled at each other like, yeah, we don't get it. I mean, you know? It's not even that they bombed. It was like we bombed as people. We're like, the fact that we're not 25, it's like you could trust them, that you know that they have sufficient reasons for thinking it's funny, and I believe that, but I just don't get it, you know? For me. For us, because we're pretty much... She's a girl, I'm a guy, but like we're the same age, living in the same place, with the same access to the same information, for the most part. She's in a higher grade than me, different friends. But we're not going to get this joke, that one. Now, there was this other time I want to bring this up, really quick, at the end of this video. And then I'll end it. Well, I feel like getting some food, but... I was hanging out with my brother. And there was a political vote. And it was something Cheney, something. And I thought I got it. I thought I got the joke. And it was this really advanced joke. And Justin and I started laughing. And I knew that I knew why it was funny. And I knew that Justin didn't know why it was funny, yet he was laughing. So he had dishonest laughter. But he had this genuine laugh. But I said, no, you don't get that. I said, no, you don't get that. And I don't know if I turned off the TV or paused it. I was like, no, you don't get that joke because it's so advanced, only someone like me could get. And so I said, fine, explain the joke. And he goes, what? I said, just explain. Why haven't I? He explains it. It was different than what I thought. It was better. And he was right. And I realized that I interpreted the joke wrong, and he was right, and he had a more generalized understanding of it, and I had a very, almost like weird, I had a very strange, weird interpretation, and I guess it was funny the way I interpreted it, but that's not what they were going for, and my brother picked up the actual meaning, and then I was really embarrassed, and I was just like, oh crap, I couldn't... Well, let me tell you the real joke. After he told me that, it was poetic justice, it was irony, it was he who exalts himself will be made humble. And wise men are rarely 100%, and when they are 100%, they're right. And when they're wrong, they rarely go back to 100% on very many things ever again, because they're too wise to do so, and they don't want to get hurt again. It's like you go into the 100%, your journey there. I had a coworker that idolized my Guitar Hero playing. I play without looking at the screen a lot and stuff, and she just thought I was the best player ever and all this. She was at my house, and she's 100% sure about a lot of things a lot of the time. And a lot of times, even if you're sloppy, you can get away with it because people are 100% sure all the time when they should only be 96%. But if there's a 96% chance that they're right, then there's only a 4% chance that they're wrong. And if they are wrong, they don't always get called out on it. And sometimes people can go years whipping out the 100% on everything and getting away with it. Well, she was 100% sure that I was like the best player in the world and the best player ever and all this stuff. And I just remember she's at my house. She's sitting in the back, in the kitchen rather. And it was the first time she's ever been 100% sure of something and was wrong, and I could see it on her face. Her face hung there. Because I'm sitting, we're playing 4-man rock band, and I'm playing, she gave me, I bought a Metallica song for $2 on a DLC and downloadable content. And the solo was so ridiculously hard, and the timing window on Rock Band is smaller. And I could only see a quarter of the screen because someone was playing bass, someone was playing drums, and someone was singing. So I could barely see my screen, and it was the end of the night, and we didn't have star power, and I may have been trying to tap or something, but whatever it was, I started missing notes, and then I failed. Oh, snap. And my screen goes like this, and now someone has to revive me with star power. And she goes, well, that doesn't fit my worldview. I thought Eric was better than Metallica. I thought Eric was better at plastic guitar than Metallica was at real guitar. And her face, because there's no way around it, I objectively failed. Like, I would have to tell her, oh, I was trying to play with my feet. I would have to say that to save myself. But I just remember looking over at her, and her face was like it was the first time she's ever been wrong about anything ever in her life. After being 100% sure of something. She had just got away with it her whole life. And I think it may have saved her life, because in the future, she's not going to be 100% sure as often. There's a time and a place, obviously, to put your faith out there and all that stuff. But it's not, well, sometimes the false light is worse than darkness. A lot of times. If you're 100% sure about something and you're right, great. But if you're 100% sure and you should only be 99, you should only be 90, let's just say it can be dangerous when you're wrong. And in this case, nothing bad happened. She maybe felt some secondhand embarrassment or something. But it's like, okay, Eric's not as good as we thought. Because if I was really the best player in the world, I wouldn't have failed. It doesn't matter what the excuses are. I mean, if the game was like lagging, that's a valid excuse. But it wasn't lagging. And you know, even if it lags, the game gives you a different timing window that's similar. I've played on lag before. If it's lagging, you can still hit the notes like way early or way late. It's an interesting experience when it's lagging, but generally, I mean, you don't want to lag, right? You don't want the lag, no. But it's okay to be 100% sure about some things. And be courageous and stuff. But also, knowing the limitations of man. Top left-hand corner, John 8:7. Let's see what that one says. Oh, I'm out of messages. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. What does that mean? Never being 100% sure is cringe. Always being 100% sure is cringe too. Which one's more cringe? I think it depends who you ask. But if you're never, never or rarely ever 100% sure, then people are going to believe you when you are. I saw there was these announcers, baseball announcers, and there was this announcer that he's been announcing for 10 years, and he never makes these, it's kind of a dumb, okay. If you're always 100% sure, that's not very wise. It's not very humble. So the first one, you're a coward. The second one, you're foolish. So I would say just try to be honest. Grow in wisdom and humility, but be honest. If you get to 100%, say it. Ooh. Atheists. Huh. Well, I did say one last video. 2 minutes, huh? Whoa. Best comedian ever. I guess I'll watch these later. No matter where you go in this life, I've seen a lot of NDEs. They say the purpose of life is to love. That's about 70%. The other 25%, purpose of life is to learn. Interesting, huh? Learn and grow. No matter where you go, you're going to learn. A lot of learning going on. And if you're not learning quickly, then you could go somewhere else. And what's the other 5%? Well, depends what NDE you go to. There's that's the miscellaneous. It's the life is multifactorial. Multi. It's very interesting, but I'll tell you this. Better to be amortal than immortal, otherwise we wouldn't be here right now. That's how I feel about it.